Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Today I have another 4 for 4. I have a whole playlist of 4 for 4 videos up above. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Aiden. I am so happy that you are here. If you have not already subscribed, if you wouldn't mind subscribing, it would mean so very much to me. I do have 4 for 4 video reviews every week or two, and then I also have empties and sample Saturday and a fragrance video every Friday. So if any of that interests you, this is the place to be. For my 4 for 4s, what I do is I take 4 palettes and I wear them for 4 days each, and then I come back here, I review them, I swatch them, and I rank them at the end. So if you're interested in that, just keep watching. The 4 palettes this week are the Cutie Palette by Nabla, and this is the Coral one, which is their second in the series. I have the Smashbox L.A. Cover Shot Eye Palette. Then there is the Enlightened palette by IBY Beauty, and finally Nomad Cosmetics Lake Como. I always have to think about which one because I always want to call it Lake Tahoe, not Lake Tahoe. Let's start with this one. This has 9 shades in here, and as you can see, there's a big mix of blues and greens and then a couple of more yellow tones. Let me swatch them for you and then I will tell you my thoughts. All right, so there are all of the shades. I'm trying not to blind you with the mirror. So as you can see, there's a lot of blues. They do swatch quite well. They do have a lot of pigment to them. I feel like on the eyes, they are very true to the shade in there. This one is kind of an odd duck. It has a little bit of a shift to it, which is not really showing up in that swatch. But I did love, one thing I loved about these is how they have the little boats, it's upside down now, and then the Nomad Cosmetics. So I feel like there's that extra little bit in this package, or in this palette. And then the packaging itself is just really beautiful and designed on location at Lake Como, Italy. And it's manufactured in China. So that's interesting. So I don't love this palette. Part of that is the shadows are so pigmented that it was hard, like you couldn't really diffuse them out. Like I struggled with diffusing them and making them work for my eyes, and also the color story. I don't wear a lot of blues and greens, and when I do, they're usually mixed with other shades, and there's some disastrous looks that you all have seen in some of my videos, and that's most of them are from this one. My sample Saturday one was particularly heinous. And I was like, whoa, that's even worse than I was thinking it was. But I don't know. I was not in love with this palette. I do have another Nomad Cosmetics palette that I want to try. So we'll see how they are as a brand. But this palette was a no for me just because of the way the shadows are and the color story as well. So next up we have the Nabla palette, and this is the Cuties palette. There's only 6 shades in here. This is their Coral one. In here you have 4 shimmer shades, 2 mattes, and this is what they look like. That's what they look like. They are very pigmented. The mix of colors is a little strange. Like every time I started wearing this, I was like, oh no, oh no. And I was like freaking out as I was putting on the eyeshadows. But then once they were on, I was like, oh, I kind of like the look. I'm wearing them today. So as you can see, I do have another shade around my brow bone, but I have this pink in the crease. And then I have this pink in the inner portion of my eye. And then this brown shimmer on the outer portion. And I really like this. Like I was not expecting it. The first time I wore it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is not going to work out well. And then like I finished up and I put on my setting spray and my mascara, and I was like, oh, I actually like the look. It's not as crazy or as bold as I thought it was going to be. It just seemed to work out and they blended really well. So I did end up really liking this one, which was surprising. I was not expecting to like it like at all. The next palette is the Smashbox LA Cover Shot Eye Palette. And this was actually in my declutter pile if you're following me on Instagram, you'll see that back in November, I think it was November, I had like this giant pile of palettes, and I was like, these are ones that just don't call to me. And I look at them and I'm like, wow, these are really boring. And I was going to give them all a shot though before I decluttered them. So I'm calling it my chopping block. There's kind of a series on Instagram. It's very sporadic. Every once in a while I'll throw one up. And I have decluttered a few, or I have them in a declutter pile. But some of them I was like, okay, I'm going to give this one another go. And so I put this guy in that original chopping block. And then I was like, you know what? I liked the look that I came up with. So it went into a 4 for 4. This is what the palette looks like. You look at it and you're like, okay, you got a lot of neutrals. You got like a smoky kind of look over here. You got these weird bright pops of color over here. Kind of coherent, but kind of not at the same time. So I did a look with these shades and I was like, oh, pretty good. Liked them. Then I did these shades and I was like, pretty good. Did them with these. Wasn't my favorite look. Was kind of a disaster. And then I did these. And I don't like cool tones. I don't wear cool tones a lot. I never reach for cool tone shadows. And I really liked this look. I was like, wow. The whole day I was like, that looks really good. I really like that. So let me swatch these. I've already kind of talked about it. So I'm sure you know that I liked this palette. All right. So that is what they all look like swatched. Some of them are very light. That's the biggest shades, which I really appreciated actually, because a lot of the times I feel like those are the shades you go through the most because every look is kind of grounded in those. But I did like the 2 middle quads the best. Those were my favorites, probably because there were some nice shimmers in there. This was my least favorite, but I really love this base shade. The shimmer shade is just really pretty. I would have liked this one better. I think if one of these was a shimmer, one of the colorful shadows was a shimmer, I just feel like it would have given a little bit more depth and made it a little bit more coherent. Like, because with the 3 mattes, I didn't feel like I could make a coherent look. Like, it felt like I was just kind of sticking colors on my face. And then this one, it kind of looks purple, but it definitely does not swatch purple. So that was my other disappointment, is that it did not look purple at all on the eye. I was like, that's not a purple. I thought I was going to be putting on a purple. But when you look at it sideways, like looking at it in the camera, or when I look at it straight on, it looks purple. But when I'm holding it like this and I look over to the side, it looks brown, which is weird. But yeah, I did like this one. I was surprised, but I think this is a good kind of staple palette. Gives you a nice variety of colors. And if I just kind of ignore this quad, I really liked the looks that I got with the other 3 quads, which was surprising. I wasn't expecting that. The final palette today is from IBY Beauty. This is the Enlightened palette. I should say I got this in an Ipsy bag. I'm pretty sure. I think it was Ipsy and not BoxyCharm. And I'm pretty sure I got this one in BoxyCharm. And I got this one in my Try Beauty box. So the only one that I actually purchased and sought out was the Nabla palette. Just thought that was an interesting little tidbit to throw in. So the Enlightened palette, this is what it looks like. There are a lot of kind of neutrals, and then there's some colors. There's a mix of like satins, and there's a mix of shimmers. I wouldn't classify any of these as like matte shadows. All of them they're very soft. They have like a slight sheen to them. Not like, they're not shimmers, but there's a little bit more to them. And then there's like this weirder, like chunkier shimmer formula. I don't know how to describe it, but it's not quite the same as the shimmers. All right, so that is what they all look like swatched. That's kind of hard just to get them all on camera. There are 20 shades in this palette, so you do get a big variety of shades. Like I said, half of them are like neutrals, half of them are colorful shadows, and you kind of get a good mix. You have some blues, and you have some pinks, and you have some greens. I really like this green shadow. I don't remember how it played on the eye, but swatching it again, I was like, this is one that I want to play with some more. These shadows here, they are a little bit chunkier. They are not as smooth as some of the other shimmers in the palette. I don't think they're bad, but they did have a little bit more fallout was my experience with them. But I mean, look at how blinding that first one is, and they do catch the light really well. I was really impressed with this palette. This is kind of my first experience with IBY Beauty. I have a couple other things from them. I've just never like sat down and played with them or used them. And this is one that I thought, yeah, it might be one that gets decluttered, but I actually liked it. I liked that I could do like a neutral look. I could do a neutral look with a pop of like blue or green. I liked the pink. This like quad over here was really nice because I love pinks. So I did really enjoy this. I don't think this had quite as good of lasting power as the other three palettes. The looks faded, but they didn't fade, like they were still there. They just weren't as vibrant as they were when I first put them on my eyes. They didn't crease or anything. They seemed to kind of fade away, which was a little different than what I'm used to, but I still think it was a good palette and I'm happy that I have it. All right, now for the ranking. This was hard, and there was a couple that I was like, I don't know where to put them, but I'm pretty sure you already figured out what's in last place. It is the Lake Como palette from Nomad. Just the color story wasn't for me. How pigmented they were made it difficult for me personally to play with them and to make them work, especially this color scheme. Like I think if they were more neutral shades or if they were more warm tone like pinks and stuff, I could have made it work. But I think between how pigmented they were and how they worked and the color story, it just wasn't for me. So this is actually one that I am putting in my pass along pile because it's not a palette that I see myself playing with or using again. I do love it. Like, it's gorgeous though. Look at how pretty it is. Oh, so hard. Okay, this next one was hard to decide if I should put it in second or third. Second and third were very close. I ended up going with third place for Enlightened by IBY Beauty. They faded a little bit as I wore them throughout the day. That's the only reason. I think this is a great palette. I really enjoyed it. I like the shades in it. They didn't all fade, and like it wasn't like significant. I don't think, unless you were trying to like test them out. I don't know if you would really notice that much. But this one I did ultimately put in third place. I think it was easy to work with. I liked the way the shadows looked. The satins were really nice. But like I said, I wouldn't call any of these like a true matte. I would say they are all satin or shimmer shades. So if you want just plain old mattes that are going to be super matte, that's not the palette for you. In second place is the Nabla Cutie Palette. I decided to put this one in second place because, while I love the shadows in here and I love the performance of them, the color story is not the most universal. It's not one that I see myself reaching for all of the time. Like I said, as I was putting on the shadows, I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, and like freaking out. And then it all worked in the end, but it was kind of freaky. As I was putting them on, I was like, oh my God, why did I just put that red on? It's overwhelming. And then they kind of blended out and blended away a little bit. So I feel like this one takes a little bit of a learning curve, but I liked all of the looks that I got out of it. And I feel like I will wear this palette, but probably not as much as this palette, which is crazy because this is the one that before I started this was in my like chopping block ready to get rid of pile. Smashbox L.A. Cover Shop palette. Was not expecting to put it in first place, but here we are. It's 2021. The rules don't apply anymore. Like, life is crazy. It's upside down. We are living in Underland. Okay. So yeah, I liked this one. I feel like these 8 shadows I will wear a lot. I will get use out of. I will even wear these 4, but like the shimmers in here, like I feel like I can take this palette and have it with like this palette, and I can just reach in here, grab some neutrals, some base shades to kind of ground other looks, and I really liked it. I was shocked. The packaging on this is really luxe too. Like, this is a solid plastic and it feels really heavy. It feels really sturdy. It did have an eyeliner in it right here, but I did get rid of that just because I never wear black eyeliner. I should. Like, I should start wearing my eyeliners, but we'll see. Maybe that's a March goal. We'll see. Anyway, yeah, really nice packaging on this one. I was shocked. What were you most surprised about in this video? Were you surprised that I decluttered the Nomad palette? Have you tried any of these formulas? Have you tried any of these brands? Let me know down below. I hope you are all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.